I saved him from that broken woman. That was Serena, the bride, my ex-fiancé's new wife. She raised her champagne glass. She beamed at the wedding guests. They laughed. They actually laughed. Some clinked glasses. Others nodded. They smiled like she had just delivered the funniest joke. Broken woman. That was me. I felt the heat rise in my face. Not shame. Anger. Cold, hard anger. Every memory of the past 3 years surged. The betrayal. The theft. The sheer, calculated cruelty. My stomach turned. But I stayed seated. In the back row. Just like I planned. I did not cry. I did not flinch. I looked down at my watch. 7:15 p.m. Right on schedule. They expected me to crumble. They expected me to run out sobbing. They thought this was their final victory lap. They thought they were putting me in my place. They didn't know. They didn't know I wasn't broken. Not anymore. They didn't know I came here tonight to end them. They thought they stole my company. They thought they stole my life. They didn't know they stole an empty box. They didn't know the real value. The design patents that were the company were still legally, irrevocably mine. This wasn't their celebration. It was their public execution. And Serena, in her $5,000 dress paid for with stolen money, just handed me the microphone. My name is Amara Lane. 3 years ago, I had a life. A fiancé, Gavin Rhee. A company we built together from scratch. Aura Designs. A baby on the way. A future. Then, the tragedy. I lost the baby. 6 months into the pregnancy. A stillbirth. It shattered me. It shattered us. Gavin couldn't handle it. He hated sadness. He hated imperfection. He said I was too sad. He said the apartment felt like a tomb. He said he couldn't live in sadness anymore. One night, about 3 weeks after the funeral, he just left. Packed a duffel bag while I was asleep. Left a note on the kitchen counter. The note was short. It said, "I'm sorry. You're broken. I need to breathe. Don't contact me." Broken. That was his word for grief. His word for pain. His word for me. He didn't just leave me. He left our company. Aura Designs was our dream. Or rather, it was my dream. We started it in my tiny apartment kitchen 6 years prior. I was the designer. The innovator. The one who stayed up all night sketching, coding, building the unique algorithms that made our designs different. Our work specialized in interactive digital art installations. Complex. Award-winning. I held the patents. My name, Amara Lane, was on every single one. Filed meticulously years ago. Long before Gavin became Gavin Rhee, the charismatic CEO. Gavin was the salesman. The face. Good with clients. Good at taking credit for my work. We needed funding to expand. We were taking on bigger projects. International clients. That is when Serena Vale entered. She was an investor. Her family had money. Old money. She had sharp suits. A sharper smile. She didn't understand the technology, but she liked the prestige. She loved Gavin's charm. She tolerated my designs. She invested $1 million. She became a minority partner. 30%. Gavin matched her, using money borrowed against my future earnings, taking another 30%. I retained 40%. The largest share. The controlling interest. Or so I thought. After I lost the baby, I couldn't work. I couldn't think. Grief was a physical weight. I stayed home. Gavin grew distant. He spent more time at the office. More time with Serena. Discussing strategy. Consolidating power. The night he left, he didn't just pack his clothes. He packed our company. He stole it. I found out the next morning. My office keycard didn't work. Red light. Access denied. My company email was locked. Password invalid. My access to the shared business accounts revoked. He had planned it. With her. While I was grieving. While I was at my lowest. They used my grief. They used my absence. They held an emergency board meeting. Just the two of them. 60% of the vote. They voted me out. Cited prolonged emotional instability. Cited failure to perform fiduciary duties. They had minutes typed up. Legal jargon. Lies. They changed the locks. They drained the joint business accounts. Over $300,000. Gone. Overnight. Then came the text message. From Gavin. Later that day, after I had stood outside my own office building, crying, confused. After the bank manager told me the accounts were empty. 7 words. You're broken. The company is mine. Haha. Haha. He actually typed, haha. That text message was his biggest mistake. Not just cruel. Procedural. Evidence. I saved it. I screenshotted it. I backed it up. That was the moment the grief turned cold. It turned into focus. He didn't just leave me. He robbed me. He spat on 6 years of my life. My work. My ideas. He thought he had won. He thought I was finished. He underestimated me. That was his mistake. That was Serena's mistake. They were arrogant. They were stupid. I was broken. For a while, I stayed in the empty apartment. The silence was deafening. Debt collectors called. The business debt was still legally tied to the original, now empty, company structure. Friends stopped calling. I didn't blame them. I was a ghost. But then, the anger started. A slow burn. He called me broken. He thought I was worthless without him. Without his company, I hired a lawyer. A good one. Saracen. Recommended by my Uncle Joe. Uncle Joe never liked Gavin. Said he was slick. Said his eyes were too still. Sarah Chen was sharp. She listened. She was methodical. We reviewed everything. The company structure. The incorporation documents. The investment agreements. Serena's $1 million had bought her 30%. Gavin owned 30%. I had owned 40%. Sarah confirmed the theft. They had used Serena's money. They hired expensive corporate lawyers. They created a new shell corporation. Aura Innovations LLC. Almost the same name. They transferred Aura Design's client list. They transferred the brand name. They transferred the office lease. They hired away most of the staff. They left the original company, Aura Designs Inc. An empty husk. With all the debt. Legally, it looked airtight. They thought they had taken everything of value, but they forgot one thing. The core assets. The designs themselves. The patents. The specific, detailed, registered intellectual property that made Aura Designs valuable. Sarah found it. Buried deep in the initial patent filings. From 6 years ago. Before Serena. Before the big investment. The patents for my core design methodologies. The algorithmic sequencing. The interactive response matrices. The things clients paid millions for. They were registered solely in my name. Amara Lane. Not Aura Designs Inc. Not Gavin Rhee. Mine. I was the legacy holder. I held the secret recipe. The E7 asset. My name only. Gavin. In his haste to steal the brand. Never checked the foundation. Serena. The savvy investor. Never did her due diligence. She was blinded by Gavin. Or maybe just by greed. They stole the name. They stole the clients. They stole the office furniture. But the technology, the intellectual property, the actual value, was still mine. They had stolen an empty box. A brand name tied to patents they couldn't legally use without licensing them from me. Every project Aura Innovations LLC had completed in the last 3 years, infringement. Every dollar they made, potentially mine. Every contract they signed, based on fraud. I started rebuilding. Quietly. I didn't sue immediately. Sarah advised patience. Let them build their fraudulent empire. Let them dig their own hole deeper. Let them accumulate more evidence of infringement. I worked freelance. Web design. Logos. Small jobs. Paid the bills. Moved to a smaller apartment. Therapy helped. Uncle Joe helped. Slowly. I wasn't broken anymore. I was preparing. I was a long game player. I gathered evidence. Gavin's haha text message E2. The illegal board meeting minutes. Serena's shady financial maneuvers using company funds for personal expenses E5. I documented everything. I was an investigator. I built my weapon. Then the invitation arrived. 1 month ago. Ivory paper. Gold trim. My name in calligraphy I didn't recognize. Gavin Rhee and Serena Vale request the honor of your presence. It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't an olive branch. It was a final insult. A victory lap. Their arrogance made them stupid. They wanted me there. They wanted me to see them. Rich. Happy. Victorious. They wanted me to see the life they built on the wreckage of mine. They wanted me to feel broken. That invitation was the final piece of the trap. They had just invited their executioner to the party. Uncle Joe drove me. He wore his good suit. He looked grim. "You sure about this, kiddo?" he asked outside the hotel. "It's gonna hurt." "Yes," I said. "It's time. They need to see me." "See you?" he asked. "See that I'm not broken," I replied. "And see what they really stole." We walked into the ballroom. Crystal chandeliers. Towers of white orchids, flown in from Hawaii. Monogrammed napkins. A smug string quartet playing Vivaldi. It was a monument to their arrogance. Paid for with my infringed patent profits. I saw Gavin. Same practiced smile. Same empty eyes. He was schmoozing Serena's father. He didn't see me. I saw Serena. All white silk and diamonds. Fake laughter. Posing for photos. Showing off the ring. Showing off my life. We sat in the back row. Near the exit. Just as planned. Uncle Joe squeezed my hand. "Still breathing," he whispered. "Just about," I whispered back. "Showtime soon." The ceremony was short. The vows were meaningless. The kiss was staged for the cameras. Then the reception. Champagne flowed. Waiters moved like ghosts. People laughed. Gossiped. Compared jewelry. Then came the toasts. Best man. Maid of honor. All praising Gavin. Praising Serena. How she saved him from his dark past. How she made him whole again. How he was damaged before her. The narrative was clear. I was the villain. The crazy ex. The broken woman. I just sipped my water. I waited. I knew it was coming. Serena wouldn't miss this chance. The chance to twist the knife. The chance to perform her final act of public cruelty. She stood up. She tapped her glass with a manicured nail. The room quieted. "I want to say something," she announced. Her eyes scanned the room. They landed on me. She smiled. That sharp, predatory smile. "When I met Gavin," she began, her voice dripping with false sweetness. "He was a good man. But he was hurt. Damaged." She paused for effect. By someone who didn't know how to love him right. A woman who was too broken. Too caught up in her own misery. To see how lucky she was. Broken. There it was again. Her voice was light. Almost casual. Like she was sharing a funny anecdote for the amusement of her wealthy friends. She almost ruined him. Serena continued. She laughed. A light, tinkling sound that made my skin crawl. Clinging. Demanding. Lost in her grief. But I, She placed a hand possessively on Gavin's arm. I saved him. I healed him. I showed him what real love, what real strength looks like. And today, he's finally free. He's finally where he belongs. She raised her glass higher. To Gavin, and to leaving the broken pieces behind. The room erupted. Laughter. Clapping. Glasses clinking. They were toasting my destruction. They were celebrating my pain. They were applauding her calculated cruelty. I didn't move. I didn't react. I just looked at her. I let her have her moment. Her perfect, public performance of malice. She thought she was delivering the final blow. She thought she was cementing her victory over the pathetic ex. She didn't know she had just given me my opening. She didn't know she had just stepped onto my stage. I looked at my watch again. 7:16 p.m. Perfect timing. I stood up. I stood up. The scraping sound of my chair leg on the polished floor seemed unnaturally loud. It cut through the fading laughter. Every head in the back half of the ballroom turned toward me. People near the front twisted in their seats. Serena, still basking in the glow of her cruel toast, faltered. Her smile twitched. "Amara," she said. Her voice was sharp, confused. She didn't expect this. She expected tears. She expected me to run. That was the point of her little speech. Humiliation. Gavin turned too. He looked annoyed. Like I was a piece of lint on his perfect tuxedo. He frowned. "Sight down," he mouthed. He didn't even have the courage to say it out loud. "Coward." "Thief." I ignored them. I started walking. Down the narrow space between the tables. Toward the front. Toward the stage. My steps were slow. Deliberate. My hands were steady. My breathing was even. I felt a strange calm. The calm of knowing exactly what was coming next. The calm of holding all the cards. The calm of a plan perfectly executed. Whispers started, rippling through the crowd. "Who is that? Is that..." Her, the ex-fiancé Amara Lane. What is she doing? Oh my God. Serena watched me approach. Her eyes narrowed. She was regaining her composure. She lowered her champagne glass. She gripped the microphone stand with both hands. Her knuckles were white. "Security," she said. Her voice was louder now. "An order." She was trying to regain control. "Can someone please escort Miss Sen Lane out? She seems..." Confused. Confused. Broken. Those were their words for me. They had no idea. They had built their entire narrative on that lie. Two large men in black suits started moving toward me from the sides of the room. Serena's private security. Hired for the wedding. Probably paid for with my money. Or rather, money earned from my infringed patents. I didn't stop walking. I looked directly at Serena. Not Gavin. Her. She was the one who spoke. Confused, I asked. My voice carried. The room was utterly silent now. Everyone was leaning in. Waiting. Watching. No. Serena. I'm not confused. I just have a question. About your toast. The security guards hesitated. They were 5 feet away. They looked at Serena. She nodded curtly. Imperious. They looked at me. I wasn't screaming. I wasn't crying. I wasn't drunk. I was calm. Too calm. They weren't sure what to do. This wasn't a drunken guest causing a scene. This was something else. This felt dangerous. My toast, Serena laughed. That brittle, fake sound again. It grated on my nerves. My toast was perfect. A celebration of love. And new beginnings. Something you clearly know nothing about. Was it? I asked. I reached the edge of the dance floor. Just below the low, carpeted stage where she stood. Gavin was beside her, his hand hovering near her back. Protective or controlling? You talked about saving Gavin. About healing him. About leaving the broken pieces behind. Yes, she said. Her chin was high. She was playing to the crowd again, trying to paint me as the unstable ex. And my question is, I said, keeping my voice level, which broken pieces are you referring to? Exactly. Are you referring to the grief Gavin ran away from 3 weeks after we buried our child? Or are you referring to the company? My company. That you both stole while I was grieving. The room gasped. Stole. I used the word deliberately. I watched it land. I saw the shock on people's faces. People who knew Gavin. People who knew me. People who knew Aura Designs. Serena's face went white. Then blotchy red. How dare you, she shrieked. It wasn't elegant now. It was raw. Ugly. Panic. That is slander. Aura Innovations is our company. We built it, after you abandoned it, after you drove it into the ground with your breakdown. She was lying. Recklessly. Beautifully. She was falling right into my trap. I was the ego manipulator. I let her think she was defending herself. She was actually confessing to the motive. Establishing the timeline. Confirming the transfer of assets. She was making my lawyer's job easier. Gavin stepped forward. He put a hand protectively on Serena's arm. Or maybe to silence her. Serena, calm down, he said through gritted teeth. He looked at me. His eyes were cold. Hard. The mask was back on. Amara, this is wildly inappropriate. This is our wedding day. You need to leave. Right now. Leave, I asked. But I was invited. By you? Remember, I held up the ivory invitation. It felt flimsy in my hand. Or was this invitation just part of the performance? Bring the broken ex here. Mock her in front of everyone. Make yourselves feel bigger. Make your stolen success seem earned. Get her out, Serena screamed at the security guards. She pointed a shaking finger at me. They started moving again. More determined this time. Touch me, I said, my voice low, but carrying like ice across the silent room. And it's assault. added to the charges of corporate theft, patent infringement, were Fraud, and conspiracy. Your choice, gentlemen. Do you really want to be accessories? The guards stopped again, dead in their tracks. Wire fraud, patent infringement, conspiracy. Those were legal terms. Serious terms. Felony terms. They looked at Serena. They looked at Gavin. They looked at me. They were starting to realize this was way above their pay grade. They backed off slowly. They faded back toward the walls. Smart move. I turned back to Serena and Gavin. They were trapped on the stage. The spotlight was literally on them. But the power was with me. Standing on the floor. Calm. Prepared. You built it, I asked again, circling back. I needed this on record. Metaphorically speaking, Aura Innovations LLC, you built it from the ground up after I abandoned it. Yes, Serena snapped. She was doubling down. Too proud. Too stupid to see the pit she was digging. We worked day and night while you were wallowing locked in your apartment, feeling sorry for yourself. We saved the clients. We saved the contracts. We made it successful. Successful, I asked. I needed specifics. Concrete details. So, Aura Innovations LLC is doing well. Making money, signing big contracts. I was leading her exactly where I wanted her to go. Of course. It is, she scoffed. She looked around the room, seeking validation from her rich friends. We just landed the Meridian Hotel's international account. A $5 million contract. We're opening an office in London next quarter. We are thriving without you. $5 million. Using my patented interactive design matrix. Beautiful. That was quantifiable damages right there. Gavin was nodding beside her. He looked proud. Smug. He couldn't help himself. He had to take credit. We took your little art project, Amara, he said, his voice full of condescending pity, and turned it into a real global business. You should be thanking us. Thanking them. For stealing my work. For leaving me broke. For calling me broken. The arrogance was breathtaking. But useful. They were bragging. They were confessing. They were confirming the success of the company they stole. The company built entirely on my patents. The company whose every dollar was proof of their infringement. They were making my legal case for me. In front of 200 witnesses, many of whom were powerful business people. Serena's father looked ill. So, you admit it, I said, letting the pieces click into place. You admit you took Aura Designs. You rebranded it as Aura Innovations. You used the same design methods, the same core technology, the same client lists that I cultivated. You've been operating it for 3 years. Successfully. Making millions. We didn't take anything, Gavin said quickly. He was finally realizing his mistake. The trap was closing. The original company failed. It was bankrupt. Because of you. Your instability. We started something new. Something better. New, I asked. With the same name, just swapping designs for innovations. With the same logo I designed in my kitchen 6 years ago, with the same core technology I patented before I even met you. Gavin, those patents belong to the company, Serena interjected. Her voice was shaky now. She was guessing. She didn't know for sure. She never checked. Her $1 million investment. Her hostile takeover. And she never checked the IP ownership. Incredible. Arrogant stupidity indeed. Did they? I asked. I smiled. Just a small, cold smile. I let the question hang in the air. Are you sure about that? Serena, did you do your due diligence when you invested in Gavin's plan? When you helped him lock me out? Did your expensive lawyers check the United States Patent and Trademark Office database? Did you verify the ownership of the actual assets? Or were you too busy planning this wedding? Her face went pale again. She knew. She didn't check. I saw the flicker of panic in her eyes as she looked at Gavin. Did he check? This is ridiculous, Gavin said. He stepped forward again. He tried to take the microphone from Serena, but she clung to it. Amara, you are making a fool of yourself. You are delusional. You are drunk. You are... Brokeny finished for him. The word dripped with sarcasm. Is that the word you're looking for? Gavin Broken. I took a step closer to the stage. I looked him right in the eye. Let's talk about Broken. Gavin. Let's talk about the night you left. 3 weeks after we buried our child. You waited until I took a sleeping pill. You packed your bag. You left me a note on the kitchen counter. You said I was broken. You said you needed to breathe. The room was utterly silent. You could hear the ice clinking nervously in glasses. People were holding their breath. This was raw. This was real. And then, I continued, my voice low, but carrying across the hushed room. After you left me. Broken. Grieving. You sent me a text message. From the airport. Probably on your way to meet her. I nodded slightly toward Serena. Do you remember what it said? Gavin. He stared at me. His face was a mask. But I saw the flicker of fear in his eyes. He remembered. Oh, he remembered. 7 words. I said. 7 little words that summed up everything. Your cruelty. Your betrayal. Your theft. Your pathetic cowardice. I pulled out my own phone. The phone I had kept for 3 years. The phone with the saved screenshot. The E2 evidence. The smoking gun text. Do you want me to read it? Gavin, I asked. My voice was dangerously soft. Or do you want to tell everyone yourself what you wrote? The ha-ha part was particularly classy. Really sealed the deal on your character. He didn't speak. He couldn't. He was trapped. By his own words. Serena looked at him. Confusion warred with dawning horror on her face. What? What text, she whispered. Gavin didn't look at her. He didn't look at anyone. He just stared at me. His perfect facade was cracking. Crumbling. The charming CEO was gone. All that was left was the coward who ran away from grief. The thief who typed, haha. I held up my phone. The screen was bright. It illuminated my face in the dim ballroom light. I think, I said to the silent, watching crowd, everyone deserves to know exactly who they're celebrating tonight. The real Gavin Rhee. The real foundation of this perfect marriage. I held up the phone. The screenshot was clear. Gavin's name. The date. The time. And the words, "Let me read it for you," I said. My voice was steady. Cold. It's very short. Very. Efficient. Just like Gavin. I read. You're broken. The company is mine. Haha. I let the words hang in the air. Haha. The final, pathetic twist of the knife. Sent to a woman 3 weeks after burying her child. Sent by the man who claimed to love her. Sent by the man currently standing on the stage. The groom. The hero Serena saved. The reaction was immediate. A wave of shock rolled through the ballroom. Gasps. Murmurs. People turned to look at Gavin. Not with admiration now. With disgust. With contempt. He said what someone whispered loudly near the front. Haha, another voice echoed. Disbelieving. After she lost the baby, the crowd turned. The social reputation D2 Gavin and Serena had curated so carefully. It was evaporating. Right here. Under the crystal chandeliers. Serena snatched the microphone back. That's taken out of context, she stammered. Her voice was too high. Too shrill. He was upset. He was emotional. She was driving him crazy. He didn't mean it. Reckless lies C2. Trying to justify cruelty. He didn't mean it, I asked. He didn't mean to lock me out of my own company. He didn't mean to drain the bank accounts. He didn't mean to steal 6 years of my work. Which part didn't he mean? Serena. Gavin finally spoke. His voice was strained. He was trying to regain control. Amara, he said, trying to sound reasonable. Trying to gaslight me. This is a misunderstanding. A private matter. We were both grieving. We both said things. Did I say things? Gavin, I interrupted. Did I lock you out? Did I steal your money? Did I send you a text message laughing about it? He flushed. He had no answer. Serena jumped back in. The scapegoat hunt C4 began. This is her fault, she yelled, pointing at me. She's doing this to ruin us. Because she's jealous. She couldn't handle Gavin moving on. She couldn't handle him being happy. Happy, I asked. Is that what you call this? Serena building. A life on theft on lies. Humiliating the woman whose work you stole in front of her face. That's your definition of happy. We didn't steal anything, she insisted. The company was failing. We saved it. You keep saying that, I said. You saved it. You made it successful. Aura Innovations. The global brand. The Meridian Hotels contract. The London office. I repeated her own boasts back to her. I needed the narrative cemented. Yes, she said. Defiant. Arrogant even now. That's good, I said. Because a successful company generates significant revenue, especially with $5 million contracts. I paused, letting the next implication land. Significant revenu. Based on infringing technology. Moins significant dommage. My lawyer will be very interested in those profit statements. Gavin went pale. He understood. He knew about the patents. He just thought. What? That I wouldn't find out. That I wouldn't fight back. That I was too broken. Serena looked confused. Infringing? What are you talking about? The technology belonged to the company. No. Serena, I said patiently. Like explaining to a child. The brand name belonged to the company. The client list belonged to the company. But the core intellectual property, the design algorithms, the interactive matrices, the things that actually make the money, those belong to me. Solo inventor. Amara Lane. Registered 6 years ago. I saw the dawning horror in her eyes. She finally understood. She looked at Gavin. Accusation. Fury. You? You told me. She started. Gavin cut her off. More liste. More blame C4. She's lying. Serena, it's a legal trick. The patents were implicitly part of the company assets. She's twisting things. Am I? I asked. Implicitly. That's not how patent law works. Gavin. Ownership is explicit. It's registered. It's documented. My name is on USPTO filings. Not Aura Designs, Inc. Not Aura Innovations, LLC. My name. Amara Lane. I looked around the room. People were whispering furiously now. Serena's father, a stern-looking man in the front row, was staring daggers at Gavin. He looked like a man who had just realized his investment. His daughter's marriage was built on sand. Or rather, on fraud. So, I continued, speaking clearly to the entire room. For the past 3 years, every project Aura Innovations has completed, every contract signed, every dollar earned, has been based on the illegal use of my intellectual property, my patents. I let that sink in, which means, I said, that the company you bragged about, the company you stole, is essentially worthless without me. It's an empty shell. A brand name built on technology you have no legal right to use. This was the poetic justice. They stole the company to get rich. But the company was the patents. Without the patents, they had nothing. They had killed the golden goose the moment they locked me out. Serena looked like she was going to collapse. No, she whispered. No. The lawyers. Or lawyer said. Your lawyers, I said, probably based their advice on the information Gavin gave them. Did he tell them the core patents were registered solely in my name? Did he provide them with the actual patent documents? Or did he just hand them the corporate structure paperwork? Gavin didn't answer. He just stared at the floor. He knew. He had lied to his own lawyers. He had lied to Serena. He had built this entire sham on a foundation of deliberate omissions. Serena turned on him. "Gavin," she whispered. Her voice was shaking. Is she telling the truth? The patents, are they hers? Gavin wouldn't look at her. He couldn't. He knows they are. I answered for him. He was there when I filed them. 6 years ago. He just counted on me being too broken to fight back. He counted on me disappearing. He counted on you, Serena, being too blinded by your victory to do your homework. Serena stepped away from Gavin. A small step, but significant. The first visible crack in their united front. The beginning of the total isolation. So, the Meridian Hotel's contract, I asked. The London office, all based on my patents. Silence. Every invoice you've sent, I pressed. Every presentation you've given. Every piece of software delivered. All containing technology owned by me. Silence. My lawyer estimates the damages, I said, my voice clinical now, based on your admitted success, are likely in the range of 8 figures. $10 million. Maybe more. Plus legal fees. Plus punitive damages for willful infringement. A collective gasp went through the room. $10 million. Serena's father stood up abruptly. He walked toward the stage. He didn't look at Serena. He looked at Gavin. "Gavin," he said, his voice dangerously low. "We need to talk. Now." Gavin looked cornered. Trapped between his angry father-in-law, his furious new wife, and me. The woman holding all the cards. "But first," I said, interrupting their burgeoning family crisis. "We have a wedding reception to finish." I turned back to the crowd. "Thank you all for listening. Thank you for coming to celebrate." Well, whatever this was. I looked at Serena. I looked at Gavin. "Enjoy the party," I said. "Enjoy the company you stole. The successful, thriving, utterly worthless company." I turned my back on them. I started walking. Back up the aisle. Toward Uncle Joe. Toward the exit. Toward my real life. The life I rebuilt. Without him, the room was silent as I walked. No one clapped. No one whispered. They just watched me go. The broken woman. The one who just took back everything. I turned my back on them. On the wreckage. On the debris of their stolen life. I started walking. Back up the aisle. Away from the stage. Toward Uncle Joe. Toward the exit. Toward my real life. The one I rebuilt. Without him, the room was silent as I walked. Eerily silent. No one clapped this time. No one whispered. They just watched me go. 200 pairs of eyes. Watching the broken woman. The one who just took back everything. The one who held the power. The one who wasn't broken at all. Behind me, I heard the chaos begin. Quietly at first, then escalating. Serena's voice. No longer shrieking, but a low, venomous hiss. You knew the patents weren't yours. You let me invest. You used me. The scapegoat hunt C4 was in full swing. Gavin's voice. Defensive. Pleading. Serena. It wasn't like that. It's a technicality. Our lawyers can fix this. Reckless lies C2. Empty promises. Serena's father's voice. Cold. Hard. Like steel. Gavin. Shut up. Just. Shut up. You have defrauded my daughter. You have defrauded my family. You will be hearing from our lawyers. Consider our investment. Recalled. With penalties. Total isolation. The primary ally. The money had just turned. I didn't turn around. I didn't need to see it. I could picture it. The perfect wedding reception dissolving into a bitter, panicked argument about fraud, liability, and ruin. Their perfect life imploding before the champagne got warm. I reached the back of the ballroom. Uncle Joe stood up. He put a hand on my shoulder. His eyes were fierce. Proud. Told you he was slick, he whispered. Took you long enough to see it. I managed a small smile. Yeah, I whispered back. Better late than never. You okay, kiddo, he asked, his voice softening. Okay, I considered the word. Was I okay? No. Okay felt small. It felt like settling. No, I said. I'm not okay. I'm good. I'm better than okay. I felt it then. A lightness. A sense of rightness. Justice. Not revenge. Justice. He nodded. Let's get you out of here. We walked out of the ballroom. Out of the Ridgewood Grand Hotel. Out into the cool night air. The city lights seemed brighter. The air felt cleaner. As we waited for the valet to bring Uncle Joe's car, my phone buzzed. It was Sarah Chen. Me laver. I had texted her a single word when Serena started her toast showtime. I answered. Hey, Sarah. Amara. Her voice was sharp. Alert. Are you okay? What happened? Did they? They fell for it, I said. Completely. Serena bragged about the company's success. Gavin confirmed it. They admitted the rebranding. They admitted using the tech. All on stage. In front of about 200 witnesses. I heard Sarah let out a long breath. Oh my God. Did you get it on recording? Didn't need to. I said. Uncle Joe got most of it on his phone. And Serena's father had a professional videographer. I smiled. I think we'll have plenty of evidence for the damages phase. Damages. Sarah said. I could hear the excitement in her voice. The legal mind calculating. Amara, based on what they claimed. The Meridian contract. The London office. This isn't just about getting the company back. This could be life-changing money. Punitive damages alone. I know, I said. But Sarah, it's not about the money. Not really. What is it about? She asked. I thought about Serena's words. Broken woman. I thought about Gavin's text. I thought about the 3 years of silence. Of rebuilding. Of fighting my way back from the edge. It's about the truth, I said. It's about proving I wasn't broken. It's about proving my work has value. It's about taking back my name. Well, Sarah said, consider it taken. With interest. I'll file the injunction first thing Monday morning. Freeze everything. Aura Innovations LLC is dead in the water as of tonight. Good, I said. Thanks, Sarah. Thank you, Amara, she replied. You were brave. I hung up. Brave. Maybe. Prepared definitely. Uncle Joe's car pulled up. We got in. As we drove away, I looked back at the hotel. The lights blazed. The party was supposed to go until midnight. But I knew it was over. The music had stopped. The final inversion was complete. I had ascended. I walked out with my dignity intact. My name cleared. My intellectual property secured. My future suddenly, unexpectedly, bright. They had regressed. They were left behind in the wreckage of their own making. Facing financial ruins, yes. Public disgrace, C10. Legal battles. Arrests. Maybe. Their perfect wedding. Their perfect life. Exposed as a sham. Built on theft. Destroyed by arrogance. The next few weeks were a blur of legal proceedings. Sarah Chen was brilliant. The evidence was overwhelming. Gavin's text. The patent documents. The testimony of dozens of wedding guests. The professional video recording, subpoenaed from Serena's furious father. Aura Innovations LLC crumbled. Clients fled. Contracts were canceled. Serena's family withdrew all funding. Gavin tried to fight. Hired lawyers. Made threats. C3. Filed counterclaims. C6. Baseless attacks. Desperate. Futile. Serena disappeared. Moved back to her parents' estate. Filed for annulment. Claimed Gavin had defrauded her. The scapegoat hunt continued. C4. They turned on each other, just as I knew they would. Their alliance was built on greed, not loyalty. It shattered under pressure. The courts eventually awarded me full ownership of the patents. And significant damages. Enough to restart my company. Properly this time. Enough to be secure. Enough to finally breathe. But the real victory wasn't the money. It wasn't seeing Gavin and Serena fall. It was the quiet realization that settled in my bones in the months that followed. He didn't break me. He couldn't. Because my value wasn't tied to him. It wasn't tied to the company name. It was tied to my work, to my ideas, to the core of who I was. And that was something he could never steal. He could take the shell. He could take the money. He could take the credit. But he couldn't take the source. I rebuilt Aura Designs. My way. With ethical partners. With transparency. With integrity. It's thriving. More successful than ever. Because the foundation, the patents, the real value, was always strong. Sometimes, life breaks you. Or rather, it feels like it does. People leave. Dreams shatter. The floor falls out from under you. And maybe, for a while, you are broken. You're in pieces. But broken isn't a permanent state. It's not a definition. It's a moment. It's a challenge. What defines you is not the breaking. It's the rebuilding. It's the finding those pieces, even the dusty, forgotten ones. It's the putting them back together. Maybe not in the same shape. Maybe in a new shape. A stronger shape. A shape that is uniquely, resiliently, yours. If this story resonated with you, if you've ever felt broken, if you've ever been underestimated, if you've ever had someone try to steal your light, please know this. You are stronger than they think. Your value is inherent. It cannot be taken. It can only be forgotten. Don't forget. Thank you for listening. If you found strength in Amara's story, please give this video a like. Share it with someone who needs reminding that rebuilding is possible. That justice, sometimes, comes not with a bang, but with the quiet click of evidence falling into place. And please, subscribe. We share stories like this every week. Stories of resilience. Stories of truth. Stories where the underestimated find their power. Leave a comment below. Tell us about a time you rebuilt. Tell us about a time you took your power back. Your story matters. Until next time, stay strong. Stay prepared. And remember, the pieces they called broken might just be the foundation of your greatest strength.